And good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Sam Lane here with an update for you on the severe weather. We don't have a 6 o'clock newscast this evening, but I did want to take this time to bring you up to date on the severe weather situation that we're monitoring out towards the west. In fact, we're going to take a look at the dynamics and we're going to show you what's going on with the radar. And there's lots of tornado warnings that are ongoing right now out in western Texas and western Oklahoma, also in southwestern Kansas. The dynamics of today's situation is this. These are the winds at 500 millibars, which is about halfway through the troposphere. And the yellow here indicates dry air. And then the green is moist air. And so we have this boundary between the dry air and the moist air, and that's called the dry line. And that's where we're seeing the storms firing up right now. Now, as we go through time, this activity is going to be moving off towards the east. And hopefully my map will change here. Well, I'm going to have to adjust this. Hang on just a moment. And I will adjust this and we'll see what happens now. There we go. All right, so as we go through time, we're going to see these storms continuing to move along and ahead of the dry line, and by 10:30, it will start to move into the western portions of our viewing area around Chautauqua and Elk counties, also Washington County down in Oklahoma. Then by 11 p.m., the dry line is going to be moving into the western parts of our viewing area, and the storms will be just ahead of that dry line, starting to move through the metro area. Then it will continue to move off towards the north and east at rapid speeds. These storms are going to be moving at around 40 to 50 miles per hour at times as these race to the north and east. And by 2:30, the dry line will basically be clearing our area, and all the storm activity will start to move out of our area. And by 3 o'clock, it's all gone. It's all towards the east. And by morning, we're going to still be dealing with very strong winds behind the dry line, as winds are going to be gusting up to around 40 to 50 miles per hour without the storm. So it's going to be a pretty interesting night. Now, I wanted to show you also the updraft helicities. And the helicity is a measure of how much twist there is in the atmosphere. And when you see these updraft helicity swaths, these are the places where we think the best chances of tornadic activity is going to be. And so if thunderstorms develop in these areas where these helicity updraft swaths are, then they have a better chance at rotating. And so by 10:30, we're going to be looking at the best chance over in Chautauqua County. And then as we go through time, the helicity values start to decrease just a little bit as they move into Montgomery and Nowata and Washington counties, also Craig County. Then as it gets in towards the midnight hour, the helicity values start to move over into the metro area, and then they start to decrease as it continues to go through the evening hours. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a chance of tornadoes here in the metro area, but the chances are greatest out towards the west. But regardless of whether there's tornadoes, the way the atmosphere is set up tonight, strong damaging winds are likely from just the squall line itself. And so we have to be very careful of two major things. A derecho, which is a large, widespread damaging wind event, and QLCS type tornadoes. What is QLCS? Well, it stands for quasi-linear convective system. And these are the types of tornadoes that form along the leading edge of squall lines. They form extremely rapidly. They usually dissipate quickly and are gone. That's the kind of tornadoes we're dealing with tonight. We're not looking at the large maxi F4s and F5 tornadoes. We're looking at more of a lower scale, but these tornadoes can do damage, they can injure, and of course they can cause fatalities as well. So it's very important to stay up to date on what's going on. Let's take a look at some of the warnings right now. You can see a tornado warning right now south of Dodge City in western Kansas, and now we have a new tornado warning for this cell to the north of Dodge City. And you can see this is a squall line. And so along this squall line, we're getting these little kinks in the line, and it's where those kinks develop is where there's convergence, and you can get spin-ups along the leading edge. And so that's what we're seeing in southwestern Kansas right now. Tornado watch here continues for southwestern parts of Kansas. A little bit further down, you can see tornado warning now for the northwest or northwest of Shamrock, Texas, getting ready to move across the state line into western Oklahoma. Tornado watch, of course, continues for western Oklahoma, extending as far east as Weatherford and Watonga. And once these storms get going and forms a line, they're going to start racing rapidly towards the north and east. You need to see more storms further to the south, south of Groom, Texas, over towards Memphis. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect for that area. But of course, tornado warning continues for this particular cell right here to the north and west of Shamrock and south of Canadian. And so that's what's going on right now. Closer to home, we have a few spotty showers right now, south and east of Nevada, moving over towards Stockton. Nothing really going on in our area, but that's going to be changing over the next several hours. We're going to be looking at differential reflectivity. Differential reflectivity is a product that we use to determine hail and hail size. We also look at storm relative velocity, which is the winds inside these storms, and it takes into account storm direction and motion and speed. And so we're going to be looking at storm relative velocities. We're also going to be looking at correlation coefficient product, also known as a debris product. Whenever things are correlated, or they're very similar like raindrops, then the correlation coefficient is 1. But the more and more objects that are picked up by the radar beam that are not the same size and not the same shape, then the correlation coefficient starts dropping. And so when we get into negative correlation coefficients, that indicates that something is lofting debris. And so when the correlation coefficient coincides with an area of rotation, that gives us a pretty good clue that there is a tornado that's actually in contact with the ground, lofting debris. So we're going to be watching the correlation coefficient and the debris product tonight as well. Another product, spectrum width, which is a product that we use to determine wind shear. And of course, the shear is very great tonight. And so the spectrum width is going to help us pick out any QLCS type tornadoes as well. So let's go over some of the safety rules and tips as we go through the evening hours. It's very important to keep these in mind. You want to, of course, seek shelter in a hallway, bathroom, or closet. These are the best places to go, preferably in the center portion of your home. Bathrooms have a tendency to keep the plumbing, or the plumbing in the walls have a tendency to keep the room together a lot better than other types of rooms. Also, you want to stay away from the outside walls, and of course, don't want to be anywhere near windows. Also, mobile homes, no vehicles. If you're in a tornado situation, you do not want to be in a mobile home at all. You want to seek sturdier shelter, preferably a framed home or some kind of community shelter. And of course, you don't want to be in a vehicle either. You also want to protect your head from flying debris. You can do that with blankets, mattresses, or even helmets. You can put on a football helmet, a bicycle helmet, something to protect your head, because most fatalities from tornadoes are a direct result of injuries to the head and trauma to the head. Of course, the best place is a basement or a safe room. Lots of basements in southwestern Missouri because of the limestone, not so much down on the Oklahoma side because of the clay soils have a tendency to cause water to have to be pumped out of a basement all the time. So not very many basements actually down in Oklahoma. Instead, it's better to seek shelter in a safe room or a cellar. And of course, if that's not available, then you want to be on the lowest floor, away from outside walls and windows. Bathroom, hallway, or closet works best. If you're in an apartment building, you want to go to the lowest floor. If you don't know your neighbors already on the first floor, you might want to contact them and get in touch with them tonight, because if you're on the upper floors, the winds increase the higher up in the building you go. So you want to go to the lowest floor, again, away from outside walls and windows. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And again, protect your head from flying debris with pillows, helmets, or blankets, or even a mattress. So those are your tornado safety tips. And of course, this evening at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be hosting a Twitter space discussion. So if you want to join that, you can look me up at Sam Lane WX. That's tonight. It should say tonight. Tonight at 7 o'clock, and we're going to have a discussion about the severe weather situation as it is ongoing across our area. All right, so that basically wraps up the situation right now. Let's go back, and I'm going to go back to the radar product here, and we'll see what's going on with those storms right now. Again, tornado warnings continue for north of Shamrock, Texas, and then further up towards the north. And let's see if I can pull up, let's see, somewhere up in here there's a little button where I can pull up things. Well, I guess that's not working. Well, we'll have to figure that out. But anyway, tornado warning continues for parts of the Texas Panhandle. That's getting ready to move over into western Oklahoma. That's going to be Roger Mills County and also to the west of Elk City. If that storm continues to move off towards the north and east, folks in Leedy and also to the north of Elk City. But any one of these storms has the potential to produce these rotating storms. And of course, up towards the north, we have storms further up towards the north. Well, let's see, let's go back. And you can see many tornado warnings now in western Kansas. Tornado warning on this cell here to the east of Meade Center, also just to the north of Dodge City, and then another tornado warning up near Jetmore, Kansas. And so each one of these cells is moving off towards the north and east, and of course forming a line, and it's that line that we're concerned about with the possibility of each one of these little cells producing small little QLCS type tornadoes. Wouldn't be surprised to see this cell across the state line in northern Oklahoma near Alva and near Knowles, Oklahoma. That cell could also continue to develop and grow, maybe spin up a tornado as well as continues to move up to the north and east, south of Coldwater, Kansas. So these storms are organizing and they're developing and they are moving in our direction. Stay with us, of course, and we'll keep you advised. Be sure to join me on Twitter at 7 o'clock tonight. And again, that's going to be at 7 o'clock, and you can find that it's a Twitter space, and you can look me up at Sam Lane WX, and we're going to be doing that at 7 o'clock. Stay with us and we'll keep you advised.